CrafterNoon makers, and welcome to another CrafterNoon adventure. Today's episode features NatureCraft. No matter where you go, be it a hike in the woods, walk on the beach, or even in your own backyard, you can find nature's treasures that can be turned into amazing crafts and activities for all ages. So let the crafting begin. Our first craft today features the pine cone. We see pine cones everywhere during the winter time, in wreaths, on trees, and even in our backyard. But did you know that pine cones really play a vital role? They keep pine trees safe in the wintertime, protect them from freezing temperatures. To protect their seeds, the pine cone's scaly shells close up tightly and protect them from the wind, ice, and even animals that might eat precious cargo. So when you begin crafting with pine cones, one thing you need to do is give them, if you have a brush, give them a good brush to get all the flaky stuff off of there, and you're also going to want to bake them. Why bake them? Fresh pine cones are kind of sappy, and you know, sap everywhere is gross. Plus, there may be little tiny bugs in there. That's no fun. So to bake them, put them on parchment paper, on a cookie sheet, bake them at about 200 degrees for a couple hours. Make sure you watch and don't run away from your oven, because fire could happen. So after they have been cooked in the oven for a while, let them cool off, and then you can start crafting. The simple pine cone is really a versatile piece of nature that can be crafted into all sorts of different projects. Naturally, you could leave it whole to decorate wreaths. You can also paint them up to look like a flower. This one is painted pink. There's quite a number of layers of paint on this so that you can't see the brown through anymore. And on the bottom, I painted it green to act like the stem. If I had sticks, I would have glue gunned like a stick on there to put in a vase, so you could have a vase full of flower pine cones. You can also cut them apart to make little zinnias, and then take a hot glue gun and glue them into a frame, so that you have a gorgeous little piece of art to hang on the wall. Pine cones can also be cut. It's not an easy thing to do, I'll tell you that much. For example, I'm using a needle nose pliers here, because that's all I have. You can take it and crack off the top and use it as part of a bud of a flower to add to your collage. So you can use that. You can also continue trying to cut down further and crack this thing off so that it becomes the little zinnia where it's cut off right there. It's probably easier to break them apart once they've been baked. I unfortunately did not bake these. You can also paint them to look like candy corn, and at Christmas time they're very cute, decorated as a Christmas tree. So our friend the pine cone is a great crafting item. You can find them free in the woods, or maybe even in your own backyard. Next up in nature crafting are seashells. Seashells are the hard, protective outer layer created by an animal that lives in the sea, thus the name seashell. The shell is actually a part of the body of the animals, and if you find empty seashells washed up on the beach, they are usually because they are dead or they've been eaten by some sort of other animal. How pleasant for them. So to paint seashells, once again, I don't think I need to show you how to paint a shell. For the ones that I made, I gave mine a coating of a base coat of white paint just to help fill in the little cracks and crevices, and then gave them all 2 or 3 coats of paint. And then the fun part begins. So you can take a shell, and what I did for most of these is add little googly eyes. So here's just a little scallop shell, googly eyes. This shell I turned into a little goldfish with the googly eyes. Isn't they cute? Simply glue gun and shells glued onto the various parts where you'd find the fins on a fish. I also made a little crab. The crab used pipe cleaners and googly eyes, and I just glued it together underneath. And of course, crafting wouldn't be complete without a happy little clam. Our last craft today features the river rock. River rocks are smoothed over by exposure to moving water. We are fortunate to live by the mighty Mississippi, so you can find them there, along streams, lakes. If you find them in your backyard, great. To prep your rocks, you're going to need, once again, wash them up, get all the dirt and grime off of them. You can also purchase river rock from craft stores. So the thing about the ones that you purchase from the craft stores is they have a coating of wax on them. So if you tried to paint on the ones that you purchase from a craft store, it's not going to go well. You're going to put your layer of paint on there and then it's just going to absolutely scratch off. So how do you fix that? You get some nail polish remover or acetone, and you will scrub your river rock with the acetone. And it doesn't take long. You can actually tell the difference between if it's all the wax is gone or not. There may be shiny bits left. So after you see, look at all the gunk that comes off. Gross. If you do happen to see any dark areas, chances are that's a spot that you didn't get completely clean. You can either rub it with your finger or go ahead and put some more acetone on it. And then, that part there still has wax on it. And then you're ready to actually paint your rocks. And you might want to wash them off again so they don't have that acetone on there any longer. Now I am actually going to paint some of these rocks just because this is one of my favorite things to do, believe it or not. Now, for designs that have a lighter color paint on them, I recommend getting a couple base coats of white paint or even black paint works as well. It's hard to cover a black surface with yellow paint. It just takes a million layers of paint, and that really does not work at all. So I would give it a couple base coats of white and go from there. So once you've got them painted, you can make little bugs. So you can actually paint the little design on there, or you could cheat and use a Sharpie. Sharpie works great for everything, don't they? So you can color in your little bug. In my world, ladybugs aren't always red. And add the little spots, however many you want. And then, another one of my favorite things are googly eyes. So get a hot glue gun and glue some eyes on. Another thing you can do is, these are M&Ms or chocolate covered candies. You can, if you find a rock that's cracked, you can actually paint a face on it, and to give the appearance of that cracked look, you just need to add a little bit of white paint along the sides to give it some dimension so that you know, okay, this is a piece of candy that somebody took a bite out of. So you can paint it across like that. And the googly eyes, you've got another fantastic little piece of candy, or you know, it could be like a donut. You could make a donut, paint the little sprinkles on top. This one, I did a shark. I love Shark Week, so I painted up a little shark. You can also, if the shape looks like somebody's head, like Snoopy. This one I just did, again with the Sharpie. No, I'm not that good of an artist. I actually drew it on with the pencil first so I wouldn't completely screw it up, and then just went over with my Sharpie. And of course, Snoopy is not complete without Woodstock. You can write on them. If you have the oil-based Sharpie paint pens, you can write a saying on them. I did not do a great job of writing with that Sharpie paint pen, but you get the idea. This adorable little hedgehog, I'm going to show you how to paint as well. It looks really complicated, does it? Oh, but it's not. So I've got one of these, a couple of these little guys painted a light brown, and I've got some dark brown paint, and I'm actually just going to dab across with the brown paint, like so. Who doesn't love a hedgehog? Somehow they're all the rage nowadays. And then the little guy needs a little nose. Put a little nose up there. And let it dry. If you have a hair dryer, you can dry it with a hair dryer. And when you're finished, you can just add his eyes. A little bit around his nose to give it a little highlight. And on the body, you could put little, they look like upside down U's on his little body. I think he is just adorable. If you have yarn laying around, look at these crazy characters. Did you ever see Googly Eyes so tiny before? He just has a glue gun and a glop of thread or yarn on top of him. And here's another little guy. You can also paint up a little rock cactus garden. Just different shapes of rocks and a little tiny one on top to make it look like it's blooming. Inside there's dirt and some sand on top. You can paint the flower pot a pretty color, and that is one of the biggest project makers here at the Makerspace, is people love to make the painted cactus garden. I hope you enjoyed today's Crafting with Nature. I sure had a lot of fun making all these cool projects. I have a giant mess to clean up now. But don't be afraid to experiment with different pieces of rock and pine cone and shells. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's nature, not geometry. If you don't like it, well, you can either throw it back out in the yard or paint over it and start over. Thanks for joining us today for another CrafterNoon adventure. We'll see you next time.